At 4:52 p.m., a sound ripped across the clubhouse lot, metal against metal, that made my chest forget how to breathe. I sprinted out the door in time to watch the HOA's security golf cart grind along the passenger side of my car bumper. Scraping, quarter panel buckling, white paint curling off like paper. The driver, visor, radio, the whole borrowed authority outfit, kept pushing until my Camry lurched sideways a foot. It wasn't just a car, it was my dad's car, the last thing he bought before the cancer took him. The floor mats still smell, like the peppermint gum he hoarded, and the reason they did it? I wouldn't join their little club. 4 minutes later, I'd make one phone call, the number on the HOA's insurance certificate, and everything they built on pressure and lies started to fall. Join the club, or else I moved into Pine Shore because it looked like a Norman. Rockwell painting by the lake. Dues were normal. The website said, optional social club. Optional. Great. My budget had other plans. Week 1, I got a cheerful flyer. Welcome, join the Pine Shore Club, 85-month events, pool parties, boat rentals. Cute. Not my thing. Week 2, the letter wasn't cute. Mandatory social fee, $85, due with next assessment. I emailed Carla, our beige-voiced manager. The site says optional. She replied, the board voted to convert to mandatory to maintain events. I wrote back, that's not in the covenants. She replied with the HOA's favorite word. Nevertheless, then came the reminders. Failure to join may result in amenity suspension. Parking at the clubhouse reserved for club members. Boat ramp for members only. I highlighted the paragraphs in the CC&Rs that say the opposite and sent them back like homework. It got petty fast. 2 parking warnings for using the clubhouse lot while I picked up my kid from tutoring next door. A bright orange sticker on my windshield that clung like shame. And then Diane, tan visor, chair of engagement, told me at the pool gate loud enough for everyone, if you don't support the community, don't use it. I pay dues, I said. I support roads, lights, the dock, everything we actually own. The club is optional. She leaned in. Not anymore. The scrape. You never unhear. The day of the crash was a Tuesday that smelled like sunscreen and resentment. My son's tutoring shared a wall with the clubhouse. I parked in the half-empty lot, stepped inside, and told the receptionist, 10 minutes, I'll be out. When it happened, the sound pulled every cell in my body toward the door. The golf cart was angled like a battering ram. The driver, Doug, new patrol captain, volunteer with a glow-stick's understanding of law, had the front bumper jammed into my Camry's rear quarter. He pressed the pedal, the cart pushed, the paint peeled, and my stomach broke. Back. It up! I yelled, hands up, voice shaking. It's illegally parked, he said without looking. Members only. We're moving it. It's my car, I said, already videoing. You don't move other people's property. He let off the pedal finally, the cart rolled back, and the damage stared at me like a wound. The quarter panel was caved, the door pinched, the wheel arch scuffed raw. Something inside me folded. You're paying for this, I said, voice low. Diane hustled over like a storm cloud in a visor. If you'd just join the club, say that again for my camera, I said. She didn't. They called it repositioning for safety. I called 911. A deputy arrived, took statements, and did the thing that always spares me from rage. Wrote a case number. This is private property, he said, but that doesn't change civil liability for damage. You've got video, file with your insurance and theirs. Don't move it until you get photos. I opened my dad's glove box and breathed in peppermint and sadness. The one call. The board expected me to call the management company and argue. I called the number in 6-point font at the bottom of the newsletter. Certificate holder, general. Liability, Glacier Point Insurance, claims 800XXXXXXX. A human answered. Claims, how can I help? Your insured's volunteer drove a golf cart into my parked car while enforcing a mandatory social club that isn't in our covenants, I said, trying to keep my voice from cracking. I have video. Silence. Then, please email the video and any correspondence to this address. This call is recorded. I sent everything: the crash clip, the orange parking sticker, the mandatory letter, my highlighted CCNRs, and the Poolgate confrontation transcript I'd written down that night because I know how memory lies when it's mad. 2 hours later, the adjuster called back. We're sending an independent field adjuster for the car. Also, what's this mandatory social fee? Not recorded anywhere, I said. They're calling it dues, he exhaled. We insure their general liability and D&O. If they're misrepresenting assessments and enforcing with volunteers who cause damage, we need to review this. I didn't smile, but the knot in my chest loosened the way a seatbelt does when you finally park. The car, the cameras, and the questions. The adjuster arrived the next morning with a paint depth gauge and a face that had seen too many HOA oops. He walked the scrape, measured the crumple, took photos, and nodded at my dash cam. Does it have parking mode? He asked. It does, I said, and pulled the clip. The moment Doug lined up the cart, the slow push, the peel. It even caught Diane in frame, waving him forward and then stepping off camera. Good footage, he said. We'll subrogate against the HOA's GL. At 3 p.m., the HOA's insurer emailed to reserve rights and open a claim. At 4:30, the adjuster for the D&O policy scheduled a recorded interview with me about the mandatory club language, and at 6:10, a person from the carrier's Special Investigations Unit, they have one, asked for copies of the mandatory fee letters and the minutes where the board supposedly adopted it. There weren't minutes. There was an email chain that said, "We voted by email to make the club mandatory," which in our state is the governance equivalent of, "We wished it so." Friday, a formal letter went to the board. Please preserve all records. Do not destroy emails. Provide certified copies of your governing documents. Saturday, a different letter went to members. Until further notice, the board will not enforce any social club fee. The group chat screenshot storm that followed should be preserved in a museum of Schadenfreude. The hearing. That wasn't. The board tried to hold a violation hearing for me for illegally parking in a members-only lot. I showed up with the adjuster's reservation letter, the crash clip, and a quiet grief about my dad's Camry. Diane spoke first. He refuses to participate in the community. He parks where members park. He, the HOA attorney, present at last, cut in. Stop. We're not discussing parking. We're discussing a liability claim. Also, the club is not mandatory. Evan, the president, sat like a stack of papers about to fall over. Our council advises we suspend the club fee until the membership votes, he said. And we will not be enforcing reserved parking at the clubhouse. Good, I said. Now about my car. The attorney nodded. Our carrier has accepted tender on the car damage subject to investigation. The volunteer acted within our scope, but we dispute negligence claims. He glanced at the screen behind me. I hit play. The cart nudged and pushed. The peel. The face you make when something you believed was right suddenly looks like a bad decision in 1080p. He closed his eyes. We accept negligence. Doug, in the back, muttered, "We have to keep people in line." The attorney's eyes flashed. Not with a bumper. Cascade, the insurer, paid for the repair, OEM quarter panel, refinish, blend, rental car, no quibble. The check was more than the Camry's blue book, and I would have taken 10 times that to unring the bell. Then the other dominoes fell. The D&O carrier, directors and officers, demanded governance fixes as a condition of renewal, no mandatory. Fees without recorded amendments and proper owner vote. No volunteer enforcement team. All parking restrictions must be supported by covenants. Club fees must be opt-in and separately accounted. Failure to comply? Non-renewal. The GL. Carrier flagged the mandatory club letters as misrepresentation to members and issued a risk control report. Do not move resident vehicles. Do not physically enforce rules. They also raised the deductible. Boards hate raised deductibles more than any mean comment on Facebook. The State Attorney General's Consumer Protection Office sent a notice of inquiry after 3 different neighbors, not me, filed complaints about deceptive billing. The HOA had to refund the mandatory fees charged to anyone who paid under pressure. The management company fired the board as a client. That's a thing that happens when claims adjusters ask snippy questions and your emails look like fan fiction of governance. By the next monthly meeting, Diane had resigned for personal reasons. Doug had been banned from any volunteer role for the safety of the association, and Evan had found his backbone under a stack of policy memos. He stood in front of a packed clubhouse and said, "We lost sight of what's voluntary and what's not. We're sorry." The car, the peppermints, the people. The body shop guys were artists. They blended the pearl until the Camry gleamed like it did when my dad first backed it into our driveway with a goofy grin and a bag of peppermints on the seat. When I picked it up, the tech handed me a tiny plastic bag. "We found this in the trunk lining," he said. Inside were 3 old peppermint wrappers. I cried in the parking lot and didn't care who saw. I brought the Camry home slowly, past a clubhouse that now had a sign out front. Social events? Opt-in? Past a parking lot without members-only cones. Past a golf cart parked quietly in a shed where golf carts belong, not on my fender. Jerry met me with a handshake and a story about brisket. "You did good," he said, "with phones and forms instead of fists." "I made 1 call," I said, and looked at the Camry's reflection in the clubhouse window. And then the truth did the rest. What a quarter panel taught a neighborhood optional means optional. If covenants don't authorize a fee, the board can't make it mandatory by wish or flyer. Amendments require proper notice and a vote. Don't pay made-up dues. Enforcement doesn't mean use your bumper. Volunteers can observe and report. They don't move property, block cars, or touch people. Ever. 1 call that matters, the insurer. If a volunteer, vendor, or board action causes damage or injury, the association's GL carrier needs to know. Claims open investigations. Investigations fix systems. Cameras are the adult in the room. Dash cam plus lot cam beat 1,000 recaps. It's okay to grieve a car. Objects carry people. Fixing a panel won't bring someone back, but it can remind a community how not to become the worst version of itself. If you like stories where a clipboard army meets an insurance adjuster and loses, hit subscribe, drop a like, and tell me your wildest HOA made-up fee story below. I'll bring the peppermints. You bring the receipts.